me growing up in the hood, like anytime you see a program like this, is like need a big brother. You know what I mean? Like it's always like a big brother club.
Yeah,
and it's always by somebody that their dad wasn't there. He's like, my dad was there, so I strive to be, you know what I mean, there for kids that need that. You know, they kind of have that, but you actually have your dad, man. You have that bonding, that you have that bonding culture with, you know, your parent, and that's pretty dope because you know, motherfuckers, they can kind of, that should let you know that it's like for real. It's coming from like a good intention. You really want to pass on this experience because there are a lot of friends. I've, you know, also like experiences in life that where you're like, oh man, I wish I could have had that in a parent or in a father. Like when you see other people go through shit and you're like, damn man, it makes you feel salty. It's a fucking it's a moment of confusion. You don't really know how to understand it as a kid, and it's a very fucked up feeling, especially when you're a kid and you don't really ever address it, but it kind of shows in your older years. Like, is that something you know that you really took into consideration while starting this? Because that really there's a big long-term effect on that.
It's hard because I don't come from that background. Like I come from like the upper middle class, like you said. Like both my parents are there, and like not just that. Like you know, my dad had a good family, and my mom had a good family, and like we went to family events on Sunday. And so I did like before I get this tattoo, and before I like you know say F deadbeat dads, I talked to some of my friends you know that didn't come from the same background as me, and like, hey man, like, is this offensive? Like
called the black homie. He's like, yo, my friend.
People in my church might think, oh, he's getting a tattoo because he's trying to be like a rebel, and like he's setting a bad example. But that's not who I'm afraid to offend. Is like church. I would be afraid to offend someone who didn't grow up like the same way I did, and be like, he doesn't understand what it's like to not grow up with whatever, and now I have to you know be a baby daddy and have to pay child support, and my baby mama's mad at me. Like he doesn't know my life, and like that's not. I'm just trying to say that like I've had success being a good dad, and like my kid and me are best friends, you know. And I told XG like my kid calls me DJ, you know. Yeah. And I'm not gonna ask him.
How old is your kid?
He's 6.
Okay.
See, that was weird when you said that. He was like, my kid calls me DJ, and I don't want him to stop because I'm his friend, not his dad. I was like, whoa.
He had a kid, and he calls you. He's like, X to the G.
This fool ever says X to the FAG, I'm dropping that fool.
Yeah, you fucking hated that fool with the belt.
Hell yeah.
Yo, so,
little motherfucker.
Did you get whipped when you were a kid, bro? Like, I mean, I know this is like
that's a serious question,
really,
bro.
Like, so
I mean, because
my parents are really. So I'm Mormon. Grew up in Utah. My dad, So my dad grew up like really into the church, but he's a really really nice guy. So he always had like church callings, and so like the guy who's like the representation for the church can't be, you know, whipping his kids. He's a nice guy. My dad's never sworn. He's never like hit me or never hit anybody.
Dude, that's like completely opposite of Catholics. Yeah. You know, when you're like in communion school, when I went there, bro, I was like, for sure, I got my ass whooped, bro. Like, I'm like, your parents hit you when you like this, that. You're like, what the fuck, man? Your parents, I was like, they didn't tell you to whip your kids. That's dope.
It's weird.
No wonder you have a great relationship, bro.
And okay, him having a great relationship with his dad is weird that he's behind this program. I would expect this from like Cairo, somewhere where their dad left them, like he hasn't been around. But like, this is what I wanted my dad to do for me.
Brothers Club.
Yeah, but like, so what's in your book exactly? So is it like
a journal, dog?
Okay, the journal. Yeah, can you explain like what?
Every single day is the same, and the days aren't numbered. So it's not like first day of the month, second day of the month, and it's not like a calendar.
It's like a chore sheet.
Because like I made a couple different like versions of it with my kid, and I realized that if you do it like that, and when you miss a day, then he doesn't want to do it anymore. You know, you don't want to leave an empty page. So every page is the same. On the left side, you can write what the goal was. So every day, my son measures his steps, his calorie burn, because he has one of those little Fitbit watches, like the cheap one on Amazon. You know, it's $30. So he's got one of those. He measures his steps, how many calories he burned, how many push-ups that he does, how many sit-ups that he does. Sometimes, if he read a book, he'll like write it. Yeah. But like every day, he tries to do more than he did the day before.
And you look through this, like once he's done, you like, oh, this.
We do it together.
Okay.
And so, I mean, it's like something. He's like, hey, Dad, do you want to go through the journal? Yeah. So we go, and then after he tracks what he did that day, there's a section that said, what did you do good today, or what are the good things you did today? And then he writes down, like usually it's like, oh, yesterday he wrote that he helped Dad because I had him help me screen print a bunch of stuff.
Oh, nice. There we go.
You know what's crazy about this, man? That I feel that, you know, you get to know your kid, like, you know, like you said, that you go through it together, and you're like, oh man, this is what he did, and he wrote this down. To somebody like me, it would fucking feel weird because you know what I mean? I was like, yo, what the fuck are you trying to get in my business for? Because you're not used to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like really taking this under.
But that's what I was asking.
So
I think this is for like elementary kids. You can't come up to a middle schooler or a
It's a
high
different
schooler and be
approach.
like, hey,
for like
this.
kids that maybe are just learning how to read, but then if they start this habit, like when they're like 4 or 5, it's like I said, Cairo was his name with the dread.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took one. He's like,
You
I'm
look
going to use
abandoned
this.
as fuck, huh?
Yeah. He's gonna use this and imagine his dad's with them, and they're both gonna write goals. Like
Can't
today's
laugh
goal
at
is
that.
to open 3 Pokemon
Can you imagine?
cards.
Imagine his dad's goal to find Cairo less annoying. He has to read it. He's like, yeah, son, I think you're. Yeah, it'll get hurtful when you're an adult.
But so the thing is like for me, look,